Hi, Peggy.
Hello, Karen.
How are you doing today?
Good. I would like to let the viewers know that we're not live today. We had a little technical difficulty, so they don't have the option to come into our conversation today.
Yeah, thank
So,
you. And for our audience, know that you can comment once we have the video up. We would love to hear from you and your experience of the topic we're going to be talking about today. And I'm Karen Seitz. I'm the lead teacher for the relationship program here at A New Life Center. And this is Peggy Litt, one of my mentors and one of the founders of A New Life Center. Peggy, would you like to introduce yourself and remind our audience about who you are?
well, David and I met about 15 years ago, and I started working on myself then. I have been working with women for the last probably about 10 years on their relationship with themselves and with their partners. So, all of this information we've experienced and worked through and came out the other side, which is the most important thing to realize. So,
Yeah, it is. And I've been with the New Life Center and doing these programs for about 4 years now, and have been working on myself and my marriage to turn it around and solve the problems. And that's why we're here. Or Peggy, did you have something else?
well, I did want to reiterate this is for women that have good men. That doesn't mean they're perfect men, but they are good men. So, if you're with a very narcissistic person or an abusive person, while some of these things may help the relationship with yourself, I'm not sure it's going to help your relationship with someone like that. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Peggy. And you bring up another great point to start off, that what we are about and what we teach that's different than conventional wisdom and things that are out there is that true intimacy comes from building a relationship with yourself. It's not something you get from your partner or from your spouse or from your relationship. It's having a deep connection to who you are and knowing who you are. And the other premises and viewpoints that we come from is you can't change anybody but yourself. So you can't change your husband. So it's not going to work to tell him what you need him to do to make you happy in the relationship. That you're the only one that you can change, and you're the only one you have any power over to change, and that you're responsible for your happiness. That is not the burden of your husband.
And I would like to add to that, if you change, how your husband responds to you will change if he is a good man. So while all of the responsibility is on us and we have all the power in the relationship, a good man will step up and walk with you on your journey.
It's very true. Thank you, Peggy. So our topic today, it's one of my favorites. It was a big wake-up call for me in my own marriage, and a little overwhelming, and ultimately one of the best things I could ever look at for myself. And that is the number one reason of how we build resentment in our marriage. And that number one reason is shoulds.
And everybody's going, what's shoulds?
Yeah.
So for me, I would like to explain what a should was for me, and that is doing something for someone else, not putting myself in the equation at all. And, when I first started looking at these, I was overwhelmed by how much of my life I do as shoulds. And especially you people with the happy pill out there is probably going, well, I don't mind doing things for others. And that's not what we're saying either. Um, I thought I had to make it about my husband or my partner, the whole relationship, and that built resentment in me. Now I realize it's my responsibility to do the things that make me happy so my relationship can be happy. And I was trying to think of a should that I could give in as an example to show you how tainted the experience is. So one of the worst things that I do is going to the dentist, but we should go to the dentist, okay? If you think about how you prepare yourself and how you experience that veil of just get me through this, if you are doing your whole life like that, think of all of the joy and richness you're missing. So please take this seriously and look at your life and see what you're doing as a should.
That's a great one, the dentist. That's a total should. My definition of should, of how I see it, is anytime I do something, specifically in my marriage, anytime I do something I think my husband wants me to do or expects me to do. And of course, that's the same in any relationship. When we do what we think others want us to do is a should. And when I started looking at this, like I said, it was just everywhere. Going to the grocery store. Well, what would he want? What's the brand that he likes? And what happens in that is there's no me in there. I'm not doing anything of what I want to do for myself. All of my decisions are based on what I think my husband wants. And of course, then there's the reverse should. Putting the should on my husband and thinking that he needs to be doing something of how I expect it to be done or how I want. So I'll should my husband. He should have dinner ready when I get home. I've had a long day. He should be doing things for me. And all those things cause a lot of resentment.
Well, and we don't usually communicate our shoulds very well. It's like they're supposed to get it by osmosis or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like when you said he should have dinner ready for me. If he doesn't even know what time you're getting home, and why should he have dinner ready for you? It would be nice, but yeah.
Not his responsibility. So Peggy, can you help people know how to spot a should or what some common shoulds are and how you began to look at that?
Sure. I noticed when I was working with young women, some of them were like engaged to get married, and I would ask them why they're getting married, and some of their answers might be, it's socially more acceptable. I want children. Those things, you know. And if we're doing things as a should, we're not taking responsibility for that choice. And I think that is a big reason why 1 out of every 2 marriages end up in divorce, because we're doing it as some kind of a should and not really committing to ourselves or our partner to give it our all, you know. You can't give a should your all because you're not in it.
And can you explain a little bit why we're not in it? Why there's no you when you do a should?
Because I'm not even considering myself in it. You know, like the getting married. Well, everybody else my age is getting married. I don't want to be left out. Those things, it's like, are we even checking in with ourselves and asking ourselves the reason why we are doing these things? You know, and I've been with David like 15 years, and I realized the talk I would say to myself is, I don't want to be with anybody but him, and I can't see me with anybody but him. But never did I say, I'm choosing him for me. And when I owned that, it changed the relationship totally and made me want to work harder in it.
Because then you want to be there.
Yes, I'm acknowledging. I can't see myself with anybody but him. What the heck kind of a commitment is that?
Sure.
You know?
And something you said, Peggy, helped me come to an important point in this. A lot of times we do shoulds or do what we think we should do, so we don't have to take responsibility for the choice we're making. That, well, I did this because I should get married, and then there's no me in that. So if things don't work out or the marriage is a wreck, I don't have any responsibility in it. And that's really what causes that underlying resentment, which is poison.
Well, and even such important decisions as if you want children, you know, of course, society says we should have children. I work with many wonderful women that in doing the work on themselves, they have seen that that is not really a choice they want to make. And if they hadn't been doing this work and had just let themselves have kids because it's what they should have done, those poor children would never feel wanted either. And the parents would be resenting them. So these shoulds are really, really important. I mean, even if you decide to stay home to be with your children, make sure you are clear on the reasons why, and make sure you own it is your choice, or you're going to resent being at home with them.
Absolutely. And for me, I even had to look at the really small shoulds I was doing in my marriage. What happens is those add up. And then this resentment builds and builds and builds. And with resentment, there's just this constant agitation and irritability towards my husband. And that puts a huge distance between us. It puts a huge distance between me and myself. But things as simple as I had changed all of my brands like toothpaste and deodorant and certain brands I would buy at the store because that's what my husband wanted. Or what does he want for dinner? Or what all those little things add up. So if it feels like a lot to look for the really deep ones, even just it's catching those day-to-day ones. Peggy, do you have any examples of those?
I like my own toothpaste.
Yeah. So that wasn't an issue for you.
No, but you know, it's like, what restaurant do you want to go to, honey? Yeah. You know, we don't want to make a decision because we don't want something to go wrong. So we do the should, and then we'll go, well, I knew we shouldn't have gone here. I mean, that's not playing very fair, you know. No. And in doing shoulds, we lose such connection with who we are. We don't know who we are anymore. We don't know our likes and dislikes because we're living in should land, you know.
One of my favorite analogies I've heard about this from a friend and someone who's also worked with Peggy is she said she felt when she started looking at this and her shoulds in her relationship, she said she felt like a noodle in a bowl of spaghetti noodles and she didn't know which noodle she was. Yeah. And even though that's a hard place to get to and hard to see and admit about ourselves and that disconnection that we have, that's the very first place we have to start from if we're going to start to fix these things and have a relationship with ourselves and have a healthy relationship with our spouse or partner or anyone else.
Well, and our partners want us to know what we like,
yes.
What makes us happy. They know they can't do it for us, but we keep expecting them to. So if you're afraid your partner will resent you knowing what you like and being able to make yourself happy, please know you're going to be so much easier to get along with, number one, and you're taking pressure off of them so they can just be a man. They don't have to try and think like a woman and make us happy.
They can't do that. Again, that's our central message. Your spouse or your husband can't make you happy. And looking at shoulds is one of those ways to start to get to know who you are and to know your likes and dislikes so you can reestablish that relationship with yourself, which then is going to reflect in your marriage and your relationship with your partner.
And even as simple of a should as some couples think they should go to bed at the same time. Well, if you're not in very good space or you're not tired and you're laying in bed and your partner is snoring and you're going, what the heck, you resent him. Get up and do something that you enjoy and then go to bed. That's just really silly to have two people miserable laying beside each other, neither one being able to sleep because they're both resenting being there.
That's so true. So Peggy, what are some of the highlights that you want the audience to come away with today, and how do those tie into being responsible for your own happiness?
Well, by looking at your should, you're actually setting yourself free. Our mind tries to tell us that we'll be selfish, but it gives me more of me to share with those I care about when I know me more. So not doing shoulds, I have to learn about myself more. And there are shoulds we do for families, and that's a really touchy subject, and we'll just barely touch on that one. But if you're not ready to change a should, or if your family's not ready for you, I'm talking about maybe you and your partner choosing to go someplace where you've always wanted to go instead of going to visit family on your 1 week vacation. Sometimes some families would get hurt from that. If you're not ready to make that big a step yet, then at least if you look at it as a should, you can own that's how you're doing it and open your heart to it and have no one to blame. So with your heart open, you'll get so much more out of the experience until you build up those heart muscles enough to be able to do it just for yourself.
Thank you, Peggy. That's a great tip and reminder of how we can look at these things and begin to take responsibility.
Yeah. We've done work for so many years that it's so natural for us, and we have to remember some of our audience is starting anew and that's scary. So you all take what you can from what we say and apply it the best you can, and if we can help support you in any way, please reach out to either Karen or myself.
And you can do that through Facebook and send us, either of us, a private message, and we can get a video call scheduled and dive into some of the issues, or if this topic really speaks to you and you want to know how to dive into this, we would love to support you and walk beside you any way that we can. Please continue to watch our videos and stay engaged with the Facebook group, which is another wonderful way to begin to see these things and work on them.
And hopefully we'll get the Facebook working live.
Yes, we will. And until then, though, please let Peggy and I know how this topic speaks to you and what the shoulds you're seeing in your marriage in the comment section below the video, and we'll get live soon.
Well, and next week, I would like to talk about us as women as soft and that experience of ourselves, because my guess is most of you have never experienced yourself as soft, and your mind is probably going, oh my God, I'll be trampled and I'll be weak and all those things. But we're female. We're supposed to be soft. We're supposed to be feminine. And I'm not going to tell you today what soft is to me. You're going to have to listen next week. But these are the wonderful things we innately are, that if we can get rid of some of these shoulds and beliefs, you guys will start experiencing yourself like this. And it is so wonderful. No one else can make you feel as good as you can make yourself feel.
What a wonderful place to end. Thank you so much, Peggy. I look forward to that conversation next week. and we'll see you all soon.
Have
Anything
a wonderful weekend, and look for your shoulds and let us know next week
Yeah.
what you find, okay?
Perfect. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.